Good afternoon, Dr. Livermore.
Good afternoon.
Nice to have you here in Dubai.
It's great to be here.
Thank you very much for the last 2 days. We've been part of your CQ certification program, which was a perfect seminar, I have to say. Right? We got insights on everything that really matters to become a professional international manager. And now we want to share a little bit of your insight with the young professionals in our community. So first of all, it would be great if you could tell the community a little bit more about the CQ concept.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, CQ, which is short for cultural intelligence or cultural intelligence quotient, is actually a relatively new approach to looking at cross-cultural and international management. And we specifically look at, can you measure and predict who are the managers that are going to be most successful in an international context? So cultural intelligence, quite simply defined, is the capability, the skill set to relate and work effectively with anyone who comes from a different cultural background.
All right, great. Then what's the difference between cultural intelligence and cultural competence?
Sure. So a lot of overlap between cultural intelligence and cultural competence, but typically cultural competence focuses on knowledge and teaching people awareness about cultural differences. So in cultural competence courses, you'll often hear broad generalizations about here's how the Chinese are, and here's how the Germans are, and here's how the Americans are. Cultural intelligence, we pick up on that and say, okay, that's a good starting point, but how do you actually use that to effectively manage a team that might have Chinese, German, and Americans all on it? And what if you're dealing with someone who's not just full-on stereotypical German, but doesn't quite fit those stereotypes? So cultural intelligence, I would say, is the next development from cultural intelligence, from cultural competence, that would say moving beyond just awareness to actually having the skill to manage and work effectively.
And skill is the perfect entrance to the next question. You need to have certain skills to be internationally successful. What would you say is necessary for a young person to become internationally successful from your perspective?
Yeah, well, that's actually one of the reasons I'm most delighted to have met you and the IMEC leadership, because I think the very things that you do, strategic international engagements and trips, travel, can be one of the most strategic ways to prepare yourself for international management. But it's not enough to just travel, as you know well in the work that you do with IMEC. It's what do you do with those travel experiences? Do you reflect on them? Do you make sense out of them? Do you learn from your mistakes? Do you engage in meaningful conversations? So I would say travel as well as direct experience at home. You have a lot of immigrants in Germany and in other parts of Western Europe, so taking the opportunity to interact with some of the cultural diversity that's right in your own neighborhoods, and then really just practicing the skill set of how you might lead a meeting differently if you're doing it with people from, say, China or Saudi Arabia as compared to if it was just with Germans. How would you make a sales presentation differently based upon the cultural context? So it's practicing those kinds of skills along with direct experiences through travel and interactions with people locally that I think are some of the most critical ways to develop the skill set that's needed for international management.
Well, great. That's one of the best recommendations for becoming an international successful manager. We thank you very much for the time here again. We thank you for your time for the interview, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much.